Welcome to Trucker Talk. Mr. George, how are you doing today?
I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing real good. Weather's been good. We had a storm the other night came through here, and everything else is going good.
Yes, sir. Hey, this Tennessee weather, man, it's been kind of crazy because I don't. I mean, like I said, the other week, putting on toboggans and all that stuff, and trying to, with the rain, and then now it seemed like the other day, being outside, it's just like felt like it was summertime the other day.
No, it is like that right now. You 1 minute or 1 week you got on a hoodie, toboggan, and then the next day you got on rain galoshes and raincoat, and the next day you got your flip flops and your shorts on. All 4 seasons in 1 week.
Man, it's crazy. But one thing I did forget, and I know you don't follow it. I don't follow it, but today's Super Bowl Sunday, man. Like,
Wow. And of course, I'm not a sports fanatic by no means. People always ask me, "Did you play football?" I said, "Nah, I don't do sports at all. I probably follow bodybuilding, and that's about my only sports that I do, and which is a rare thing because most people don't have a clue of what that is."
well, true. And I know, like I said, I was dumbfounded because I've been being on the road and stuff all the time. And like I tell people, I said I go to bed early. So somebody they mentioned, you can watch Super Bowl Sunday. I was like, what time Super Bowl? So I had to Google it, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be in bed by like 7, man. So I'll get up and Google and see who won. But
That's it. Yeah.
to each his own. But I just don't get into that. But I'm gonna go ahead and well, as far as your week, you have anything that stuck out, any highlights or anything interesting that happened to you this week?
Well, nothing really happened interesting, because work is work, and anytime you get a phone call, say, "Hey, I did this for you," so you don't have to do that. That's a highlight. That's a good thing because she's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm glad that was a blessing in disguise." It's like you looking at the list of things you got to do, and somebody's taking off two of those lists without you knowing, and it's like super. That's good. That's an accomplishment. That's a good day.
Nice, man. I like that. Well, I'm gonna tell you my highlight of the week, man. I wasn't expecting it, but normally, like I think last summer or before the summer, I started getting my niece and nephew. I pick a day out the week, depending on schedule is, and I'll get them, spend time with them. So last Tuesday, I pick them up. I wasn't expecting this, but they normally play with the neighbor Blake and baby. They call him Baby Levi, but he's a 1 year old. But man, I guess they call it a little four wheeler, but Blake had her little four-wheeler car, and of course, she's 5, so she started driving her car, and Malik, I'd say Malia, she was sitting in the passenger side. She's 3, so when it was Malia's turn to drive, of course she's 3 years old, so she don't know nothing about she don't know nothing about no gas and brake. So I'm on Facebook Live, so as I'm recording this video, man, I'm watching her. She drives up toward my front door, so I'm sitting there. I'm like, Malia, and boom, she hit my front chair, and I was like, okay, so I was like, and I don't know why I said it, but I'm like, put it in reverse. I'm like, just go in reverse, man. My little flower bed with the flowers and the uh, solar lights and my little security sign, man. She just boom, 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 like she just. But I don't know if you ever see that the guy with the what is his name? Terry. They with the fireworks. There was he was an older black guy. He was in a wheelchair, and he went to go light the fireworks up. And they was like, "Back up, Terry, back up." And so he tried to back up, do fireworks. He's in a wheelchair.
Oh my
Yeah, I don't know
word.
if you ever see that, but it's a viral video. But he's in a wheelchair and he's trying to back up, and the fireworks are going off. So it's like, what can he do? He in a wheelchair, so it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, he's limited.
So that's what I was thinking when she was backing the car up, and I was just like, Malia, back up. She just boom, 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 just kept just backing up. And I was like, what can I say? I love them. It was funny, but it made my I laughed. Like I would watch that video even the next day and the next day, just laughing. It was like entertainment. I mean,
Yeah.
it was good entertainment
Yeah,
though.
yeah, and listen, little things like that kind of carry you through a day because if you get down or something, you go like, "Let watch this video and get it, just get kind of something else on your mind. It makes you laugh and to see them. And not only that, it's something that they will experience. And of course, I'm sure they was like freaking out because, like you said, put them in reverse. What does that mean? What is reverse? Oh, go backwards. That's what it means.
Oh man, it's crazy. But what I was gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you something else that I'm gonna tell you now. But before you came over, I was setting up or whatever. And my mama, man, she called me, and it's one of those things. Like normally, she calls me from her cell phone, but when I seen parents' house show,
Oh
I
my
wa-
lord.
when I seen parents' house show up, I was like, man, something is wrong. So mom's like, hey Matthew, she's like, my phone ain't working. So of course, like I said, she's 74. She's got an iPhone 16. So I'm like, okay, mama, read it to me. So she's reading the prompts to me or whatever. But basically, to make a long story short, uh, I'm trying to walk her through this on the phone. And of course, she don't know anything about she's learning about the iPhone, but her phone, what it did is I had it set up on automatic. It automatic updates it when it's time to
Ah,
update. So she was reading, I think it said iOS 18.3. And I'm just like, okay, your phone updated. So, but it was asking her to create a 4-digit password or something else. And I was like, well, this is what you need to do. So after she did all that, she was like, all right, it's working. It's good. Like,
hey,
she's like, I'm good.
technology, it'll get you when you're not
But
used to it.
man, it's just crazy though, man. It's crazy. But going back to like I guess the sickness or whatever, like I know my son and his girlfriend, they was like there's a lot of sickness as far as like I said, school, they got school out on Monday and Tuesday, but there's a lot of sickness going on. And I know he texted me the other day and said him and his girlfriend, they're doing better now. But I'm just like, God, like I don't remember a time, but I guess times we living in now, I guess the thing, well, back then what they had, you got COVID, you got the flu, and then you have other things that mutate the other things as far as different viruses and stuff. I guess it's worse now than it's probably ever been.
And I think too, like I said, you kind of got worse the things are now because you got more people that travel. So these, infections are coming from everywhere. In my opinion, it's like you just got a fluctuation of new people that come into. It's like say the here in Knoxville, you got more navigating to Knoxville. So those things come with people. And like I say, even back years ago, there wasn't that many illnesses that you got. Was the flu, chicken pox, and I don't think they even do chickenpox anymore. I think there's a vaccine for that. So all those things are kind of like diminished. So now we just worry about the flu, this COVID, super COVID, or whatever they want to call it, and things are worse. And like I said, with the population is increased, you got more people in a facility that can contract and or catch viruses from other people. Then it just kind of spreads from that point too. I see it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just the times we living in. But I got a question I'm gonna ask you before I dive into this topic today. As far as um, what is the best piece of advice as far as in life that you've ever received?
And we talked about this earlier. And I'm trying to think, what has the best advice anybody ever told me? I think most advice that anybody ever told me probably would stem from like, parents or people that grandfather was a big influence. I've always learned to be self-sufficient, work and take care of yourself, and try to learn all you can learn about anything that you do so you can become better at what you do.
Okay, I like it. Well, the best piece of advice that I received was from a good friend. He's told me, "Ain't nobody gonna take no better care of yourself than ain't nobody gonna take better care of yourself than yourself."
Yep.
So I would think about that, and like depending on, I guess it all depends on the person also, because other people are dependent. Well, they're dependent of other people, and they don't know how to depend on themselves.
Right, right, right. Exactly. I feel that.
So, I got a quote for you, man. I've heard several people say this, but every new chapter in your life will require a new version of yourself. And so, when I think about that, and I'm gonna go ahead and dive into the topic before look, I put out two. Just another disclaimer. These are our opinions. This is just what we're having a conversation, and that's what we're doing. So,
Yep.
no professional opinion, just our own opinions. But episode 7, knowing your worth, steps to stop self devaluation. Self devaluation. Um, and so every new chapter, when it says every new chapter demands a new version of yourself, man, it's like I go back and I guess I'm trying to think from like as you growing and you're learning in life and as you're evolving, you know, and some of the things that you used to do, some of the people that you used to be involved with, it's like, you got to critique your life. I mean, as far as, well, it goes back to you got to, your character. Let's start with
Yes.
your character. So to me, my character is everything. And don't get me wrong, I've done some things in my past and done things, and I know I was out of character for doing them. And when I had to check myself and I go back to reflect, even after I done it, I go back and I reflect, and then I look myself in the mirror and I'm sitting here like, man, and that is not you. You put your dukes up and you reacted, but that's not who you are. So going forward, the person that I'm becoming and the person that I want to, remain to be, I want to just stick to my morals and my principles and all that.
No, things are good. And that's something that you have to practice. That's like one of those self help things to me. It's like you have to practice those things consistently for them to get to better at that and to strive at it because it just doesn't take much to fall off of character or fall off of just morals. And we're influenced by so many things right now in the world. Easier to get sidetracked by what you should be doing. And then we can go into try to be as Christian as we like. But eventually, sometime, some people just tend to stray away and they don't come back or they come back later. So I see what you're saying about that. You have to, that character means a lot. I judge a lot of people on character.
Yeah, and I mean, as it teaches own. That's what How do you do that? I do that, but that's just how I look at people. But back to the let's go back to the self evaluation. Um, evaluation. You got to increase your self awareness as far as like I guess your surroundings and just the things that I guess you're getting involved in. You got to identify the pattern. Like you got some people, and as far as they devalue themselves, but it's like what are you willing to do? What are you willing to go through? And basically, what are you willing to put up with to, um, I guess, get the things that you think that you need. But if if you keep doing the same pattern and keep doing just going back to the same behaviors, you're going to end up with the same result. And it's like one thing I've never understood was I watched people get in and out of relationships, and it's like they with one person get another person, but in a sense, they take that behavior to the next, to that next person or partner, and it doesn't get better. And it's like they be like, "Well, man, maybe it's just not my season, maybe it's just not my year." But I'm like, "It's you."
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
exactly. That
mean?
does. We do that quite a bit. I mean, we're human. We sometimes evaluate ourselves, and sometimes we drop our self value down because of certain things. And sometimes with some people they had their value way higher than it should be as well.
Yeah, you're right. And another thing to touch on is they need to reflect on their triggers because as people, and and I know, we all have certain things that trigger us. And when I say it triggers you, it puts you back in that place. Well, it's like a bad place it puts you in. Sometimes, depending on who you are as a person, you can rebound, or you have to practice, and you have to practice with yourself how to when those triggers come up, you have to just get a hold of it and just kind of nurture yourself through it. Some people, some people, when you get triggered, it's like boom, it just knocks you into that place, and you're just a spiraling, and it's like, man, I can't even. I'm just in a rut right now. Get out.
That's true, and it see it. I mean, because we see it around us all the time, and most people don't realize it. But and even myself, certain things that trigger you, you may not realize it because it's a condition that you typically have that you just aware of. But once you learn those things, I've learned to sit back now and listen more and talk less, fun versus just to react, and that sometimes has helped me through a lot of confrontations that may have that's not even worth a big conversation about, but have that comfort that confronting someone about something that was like it might have been minor, but it all depends on how you took it as to get to that point where like Miro, talk to me that way or whatever. So yeah, it was changed a lot of things.
Right, right. And I'll give you another point. Another thing, you need to challenge your negative thoughts, because you got to question the evidence. Like sitting there and you're in that, like I said, you're in that rut, and it's like if they if they show you who you are, if they show you who they are, you better believe them. So
Mm,
people that have I can see if I can say this right, narcissistic
behaviors and tendencies.
behaviors
Yeah,
and
that's a deep
tendencies
one.
and just control. I mean, you have to be able to watch those behaviors, but that's the evidence is there. But if you're in denial, I mean, you're just in denial. You need to work on yourself, and just find somebody that you can confide into, but somebody that's healthy for you that can help you get the right help that you need.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Sometimes we kind of overlook those simple things like that. It's like evaluating yourself. Don't over evaluate yourself. Be honest with, the thing about it is just being honest with yourself, to yourself, about yourself.
Right, you're right. And then another thing you want to reframe, like people be like, they be like, man, I failed at this. It's not that you failed at this. You can say, I've learned from this experience, because as you say, experience is the best teacher. And I've learned that quote from you.
Well, it
So
does. Whether it's, you learn from experience, whether it's good or bad, learn from. And if it's, something that's going to make you a positive person, you need to, to that positive side of that experience. And if negative side, you need to learn from that as well, not to repeat the negative sides of those experiences as well.
yeah, but I'm gonna hit you with this other quote, man. I hear this, going into that with the way people are. They say a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And so I think some people that are, I guess, involved in relationships and stuff like that, they, of course, they got what they have, but it's like they out there searching. It's kind of like holding on to something and trying to find, I guess, Mr. Right or Mrs. Right.
Mm,
And it's like, a lot of people fail at that because, in a sense, of course, you gonna hurt that person or you end up getting hurt because when they find out what you're doing, you ain't gonna win. It's still a lose lose situation. But I've always heard. I mean, I like that quote, but it's kind of like a what is it, catch 22 quote.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is kind of one of those things like a
So
bird in the hand worth two in the bush. It's kind of like you're holding on to something, but you're still searching for you're looking at what's out there. It's like, well, should I trade this in for these, or just gonna hold on to this, but I'm gonna go out and get this. And what you're getting may not be what you really want. It may be what you want at the time, but it may not be what you need.
right, right, right. So another thing I'm gonna touch on is you got to practice, self compassion, man. You have to just be kind to yourself, man. Going through one of those situations where you feel less than, you need to just pick yourself up and be like, I am somebody, and
Mm,
you need to, because you're used to those different behaviors and used to be treated a certain way, and you accept it in a way, but it's like you don't have to accept that once you come to that point to where you appreciate yourself.
Yeah, and that's a lot of in my opinion, I think happens to a lot of people. It's that we just kind of like get down in the dumps because don't we don't have that self-esteem level where it should be or where it needs to be to keep you from going underwater each time. So having that self-esteem, that self-worth, the self-value, it means a lot to a person's self-esteem. It means a lot to person's self-worth. So all those words kind of go around each other, but they kind of mean the same thing. Is valuing yourself, feel like you're worth what you're worth, and don't devalue yourself based on what a person think you're worth. You have a self-esteem high, but don't, you're not the king of the world, but don't, I don't think you should just drop yourself down with your head down because somebody said, well, you ain't worth this or you're not worth that. So it's like, well, maybe to this person you're not, but me, I think I am my self esteem is not that low where I think less of myself than.
Right, right. And another thing, I want to touch on is you want to celebrate strength and your achievements, and like with example, like keep a successful journal,
Oh
just
yeah.
tally up, all the positives and the good things that you have going on. And because of course, that other person or whoever you with, they're basically tearing you down. So they don't you can say, oh, I got a promotion at my job today, or they say I got employee of the month, or they gave me a 3 day or 2 day stay vacation at for the weekend because I sold so many, such and you're whoever you with, they may be like, oh, that ain't nothing. Like it's like they shoot
Oh,
you
that's
down, and
rough.
it's
Yeah,
like, come
yeah.
on, man, like give me something, like I'm doing something that to me that's positive. That's good for me.
Right. It's another again is they say just try to keep positive company around you. It's your body flourishes off of positive, uh, influences, positive con, and you need somebody to help keep you, keep you feeling good about yourself, and vice versa. You should also, uh, giving compliments to whoever you're with as well.
Yeah, that comes with what you affirming your value, and you got to develop basically positive affirmations, to resonate with you because like one thing that I would catch myself doing, like when I was in my dark place, is just beat myself up. I'm sitting here like, man, like I've come this far. Like I'm just like why? But like I said, we all if you get 10 different people, put them all at the I ain't gonna say the finish line, but at the line to start, they all are gonna go 10 different directions. Like they're not gonna go in a straight line. People be like when people and I say this, you meet people, you see people in different places, and you're like if you see somebody like they're a CEO of a company or they own their own business, somebody they maybe have a six figure, or they're at their annual salary is like six figures, and you're thinking, but then again, some people are born into money and other people are not. So depending on where you come from, you can't really be like, okay, we're all going to end up in the same place, but we all started somewhere differently.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, about you have to. Not everybody's going to be millionaires. That's just obvious. It's not.
Oh
You got to have
no,
a workforce. That's going to have you going to have your workers, and you're going to have the ones who tell you how to work. So you have to deal with. But at the same time, you don't want to go with that self esteem and self confidence. You still want to try to be the best you can be at whatever level you are. I think you can grow from experience, but don't settle if you don't have to for less. If you can have the ability to have more, then you whether it's education, which I firmly believe in education. I love it because I think that's one thing no one can ever take away from you is.
yeah, you're right about that. But I see one of the things I see, like you got to. I know some people. I see people. They went to college. They got their education, graduated, but they work for somebody. They're not even working in that field that they go to college for. So you say that about education. It's like I know it's good, but
Mhm.
why? Well, I can't ask you why because you don't know. But it's
Right.
like why do people end up elsewhere than what they're like? You think it's got to be like with the economy? Well, I don't know if it's the economy
Well,
or
you
the
think about
demand.
it. If you look at if a person, and I don't know exactly, that's probably not a reason that anybody can really pinpoint. But if you think the person went to college, they got a degree, but at that time, that may have been the field that they want to be in. It looked promising. There were like millions of jobs. There were like
Okay.
millions of bucks made. But as time went on, it's like, we don't need that many people now because we got another system that take care of this, or this is no longer required of you to have this. So, but I still do believe that education or that degree is a thing because it she's a step further than a person without one. It's almost like an extra pass key that nobody else has that don't have that pass key, which is education or diploma, or not diploma, but it's a degree in something. So, yeah, I know plenty of people that um, have degrees and they don't even work in those fields, but they have that degree. So, worst to me, worst case scenario, if things ever went south, they still have something to fall back onto. Versus if you did not have it, you really don't have anything to fall back onto other than whatever's left in the workforce to pick up from.
Well, and I was gonna say when you said that, I was sitting there thinking because I had a friend of mine. She was applying for a position, and say it like that. I was gonna say you got to pad in that resume because at the end of the day, you start comparing resumes and stuff, and
Yes,
when you got that, you could have a degree. You got one person that freaking they got a degree right here. The other person they've been with the company like 17, 18 years. They know everything, and
yes.
they'll be like, you know what, we're gonna go with that person with the degree because they're more qualified because they got a degree. You know what I'm saying?
And they're teachable. It tells them that they are teachable because they've gone to school. They've done the whole however many years it takes to do it. So they can apply themselves to learn what you taught to do this position. But then again, some companies also want experience with that degree as well. So it's a catch 22 when you start
It's a
looking at
catch
them.
twenty
Like, yeah,
two.
you say, well, how much experience do you have? Well, for truck driving. Well, I got my CDLs yesterday. Well, how much experience? Uh, I know what the throttle is. Well, you need to come back when you get a little bit more experience. They don't tell you how much you need, but they say when you get a little bit more, which means that tells you need years of experience to be a driver because there's a safety factor comes with that. So still, I do believe degrees are all the time. He said, well, a degree is not worth anything. It's worth a lot. Because if you don't have it, try to get a job without one in a field that you want to get a field in that work sector like that. So, but it still is worth having because it does give you just an extra pass key to get into certain places that without a degree, if they just viewing it on applications, it's like, well, degree, not degree, not degree, not degree. So I think they'll probably take all the ones with a degree because these people in school, they applied themselves some point college and through the days and nights of just learning all this knowledge just to get out of college, we'll take a chance on them versus the person that does not have that degree. And like I just feel those degrees are valuable because you can never have enough degrees because this gives you that stepping stone or certifications or
Certification, yes.
endorsements. So just like with your hazmats, somebody you got two people. One has a CDL. I got CDL. You don't. You got CDL, but you got hazmat. You got
Tankers,
triple
tankers,
anchor.
and triples and
Right.
doubles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who are they going to hire? They're going to
Well,
hire you
uh,
because you're going to be more valuable,
right.
or you can do all of it. Versus I'm only stuck with one thing I can do. You can do like you know what? We might a couple of years from now we might be putting tankers. Let's just go ahead and get this guy because he's already ready.
Right. Right.
I'll have to get ready. You already ready. So they'll be waiting on me. You're waiting on them.
Right. Right. And now that you say that, and even in the truck driving field, I'm gonna touch on that and then go to talk about the endorsements. But one thing I learned because, like I said, I've been driving since '06. A good friend of mine, Tony Connor, he told me, and I didn't know this about the trucking field, but basically anybody that's been driving, I guess after I'd say give it 2 3 years. Basically, it's like a across the board. It ain't. It's like across the board. Like it doesn't matter. It really don't. Like I can be driving, and minus the endorsement, I can be a driver for like 25, 6 years. At the end of the day, a driver from 3 to 25 years, they're gonna be like, y'all kind of like the same. But if you got any experience under that, you're really not an experienced driver. But I say this to say that when I started out at Coca Cola, they taught us to pull up, pop your air brakes, get out and work or whatever. I did that for 9 years. Well, when I went to Cisco, I was in for a rude awakening because at Cisco, I'm talking, you gotta pull them trucks. Like I'm talking about you fitting them trucks into, I ain't gonna say like a little, I was gonna say a little Central Park. So like you put them trucks into places that you ain't supposed to put them trucks in. But I didn't know that. So with me coming over there, I'm thinking, man, I've been driving 9 years. Shoot, man. They had them 10 speeds. They had this one older truck. It was like it had a clutch. It was weird. It was an automatic with a clutch. You probably I know you. It's an automatic with a clutch, and I'm talking. Um, I was gonna say needle nose, but I forget the different terminologies. But we've had like the Internationals, the Volvos, Max, in work. We had all different types of tractors, and it's like you put me into a whole nother arena with
Yeah,
all these
yeah,
different tractors and all these different. I mean, going to all these different places. It was a wake up call.
yeah.
So with the company I'm with now, and and at Cisco, I got to use my triples and doubles because 2018 I got my triples and doubles, my hazmat, and my tankers. And why'd I get it? I don't know. I just at the time I was bored. I was tired of the job I was at, and I said, you know what? I'm about to create an opportunity for me to uh to go, go, basically to go to do something different. So fast forward with the new company that I'm with now, we got to have hazmat, you got to have tankers. So now I've got to use my hazmat, and my tankers with this. So, but yeah, so it's beneficial, and of course, like you said, if it comes down to it, if they see a driver that's like, hey, I got my CDLs, I only been driving for 3 or 4 years versus somebody like me that's like, hey, I got all my endorsements, got a good driving record and so forth. They'd be like, well, we're going to go with this guy because you're more valuable to us, more valuable to the company.
Yeah, and that's true. And that's the thing about it. 'Cause we get all these conversations wrapped into one conversation, but they all kind of are intertwined with each other. Self confidence, self awareness. Those things is falls back under the self esteem and being proud of yourself. What it boils down to, because like I say, if you get those endorsements, all that stuff makes a person feel good about themselves, self awareness, self passion about themselves. They and be more appreciative to things that are around you as well. You feel good, seeing like you can make other things feel good because you're in that space where it's like this. So you tend to, me personally, you tend to want to be a little bit more out there with people. You don't have that that, that grinding face on. You got a happy space and you walk into a place because it's self control, it's self worth all at the same time. So all those things kind of fit into a basket, but they also project happiness in your life when you have all those things because you got a lot of just feeling down and not appreciative of anything, or you might even say not appreciative of anything, but when you have that decrease in self-worth, you won't study for your hazmat, you won't study for this. You're
Right.
like, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't feel like it. So but knowing that I got you energized, you worth is there, that value is there, your self esteem is high. You're like, man, I'm gonna try to get my this. I'm gonna try to get my triples. I think
Right.
I'm gonna try to get me an airplane license next week. So you feel good about yourself, and that goes with any most any job, so that can apply to anything. If you just to me, if you just like just looking down all the time and just not appreciative of things and just not having that self worth, you don't have that drive to do a whole lot of things.
Right. Right. And you're right, man. And I'm going to go ahead and pop, I call it pop the air brakes. I'm going to pop the air brakes on this. So with this quote, we're going to end this thing, man. As I appreciate you. But this quote, your net worth can fluctuate, but your self worth should only appreciate,
Oh my
by
goodness,
Chris Gardner, man. And
that's awesome.
as always, my brother, I
We out.
appreciate you, man. We out, y'all. And y'all have a good day.
It's the drip from me, Strozar.